Hey everyone, let's talk about a crisis that doesn't make the headlines every day, but will change our lives sooner than we think, the fertility crisis. Why should you care? Imagine a world where there aren't enough young people to pay taxes, fix the roads, and take care of the elderly. A world where entire neighborhoods are empty, schools are closed down, and the economy slows to a crawl. Like a horror movie, but without the zombies. Some say it's because of high living costs, insane work hours, or because people just don't want kids anymore. That's true, but I think the real problem is incentives or the lack of them. 100 years ago, life was tough. No pensions, no health insurance. If you get sick or old, you needed kids to take care of you. No fancy nursing homes. Now, governments are supposed to do that, at least on paper. So why would you have kids? They're expensive, they eat everything in the fridge, and those little rascals don't even pay rent. So what's the brilliant plan from governments? Give you a box of diapers and hope for the best. Like that's going to turn every 20-something into a parent overnight. Some countries offer small cash bonuses, enough to buy half a stroller maybe. And sure, we could cover all child costs with taxes, but that means huge tax hikes. And let's be real, no one wants that. So here's the real challenge. 1. We need people to want kids again. 2. We need them to invest time and effort to raise them right. 3. We can't just throw money at the problem. 4. Raising kids should be a real full-time job, not something you squeeze in between meetings. 5. And by the way, there's no app for that yet. Alright, here's my idea. It's radical, but maybe it's the shock we need. Let's set up agencies whose main job is to create and raise kids. These agencies would decide who has good genes with background checks, health records, family history, all that jazz. They would buy sperm from men who pass the test, healthy, smart, hardworking, maybe even with a nice smile. Then they would hire surrogate mothers, also carefully screened for health, intelligence, and stability. These mothers would live in agency housing, raising the kids full time, no juggling 3 jobs and daycare. At age 6 or 7, the kids would move to a special community with other kids, like a boarding school meets summer camp, but with real education and support. They would live there until 18, learning life skills, values, and maybe even how to do taxes, so they're actually ready for the real world. When they graduate, they would join society, but here's the kicker: 10% of their income would go back to the agency that raised them. And let's be honest, 10% might sound like a lot or maybe too little. That's why it should be set by law and recalculated if needed, to keep it fair and sustainable. Think of it like a subscription plan for being raised, except instead of Netflix, you get an education and the shot at a decent life. Some people will ask, what about traditional families? Good question. If they want to, they could also receive 10% of their kids' income, assuming the government sets it up fairly. That way, parents have an incentive to raise kids well too, just like the agencies. Now I know what some people are thinking. Kids aren't cash cows. Yeah, but guess what? Foster families already get paid to raise kids. And 100 years ago, parents literally had kids to help them on the farm and care for them in sickness and old age. A second point is that it's unnatural. Well, let's get real. Everything around us is unnatural. Even marriage is a societal contract. In tribal societies, kids weren't raised in nuclear families. The whole group pitched in, and the best men fathered most of the kids. Besides, let's face it, nature's not always perfect. Have you seen platypus? I know it sounds weird, like a sci-fi movie meets a tax office. But how else are we going to let people to have kids in a world where working hard at career is more rewarding than raising a family? Think of it like return on investment, except instead of stocks you get new taxpayers. So what's your solution? Because this problem isn't going away. Drop your ideas in the comments. Let's get a real conversation going because the future of our society depends on it. And hey, at least you won't need to bribe them with a box of diapers. Thanks for watching.